Hey guys, it is Michael Marchand back with you here today, and we are back on the topic of goals this week because goals are something you can never get enough of, at least in my opinion. But take a little turn on it. Today's goal video is specific to real estate, and if you've ever heard of it or you're familiar with Keller Williams, and you know they engineered and pioneered something called the 411. So there's some additional tools called the agent economic model and the 135. And we're going to use both of those to help us fill out accurately and precisely our 411. So we're going to do a couple things in this video. First off, explain what the agent economic model is and explain what the 135 goal setting sheet is, as well as explain what the 411 is. And then, of course, tying it all together, we're going to put it down and show you how to use all three forms to ensure that your goals are clear and measurable. Because again, we want to do two things when we are creating goals. We want to make sure they're clear so we know exactly where we're going. And we want to make sure they're measurable so we know if we are close, far away, or somewhere in between on our goals on the way to the destination. So if you're a real estate agent or if you are thinking about getting your license and maybe getting into real estate, then stay tuned to the end because I do have a special offer just for active agents or maybe people that are wanting to get licensed. You would need to be a licensed agent to take advantage of this. So stay tuned to the end and I will give you that free offer that I have for you guys. So jumping right in here, just to give you a quick snapshot of what we're working towards, again, beginning with the end in mind, this is the 411, and everything we're doing is going to end up helping us put together this form. So we're going to dissect exactly what all these numbers mean, what activities we're going to be doing, the whole nine yards. So when I'm throwing terms out at you, you have some idea of what exactly I'm talking about. And when I reference a 411, that's this form here. So before we begin, if you want to follow along, there is three forms that we will be covering, like I mentioned in the beginning. And I would recommend that you pause the video and either go to the description or scan this QR code with your phone. It'll take you to the link that will allow you to download all three forms. I would recommend following along on the forms. If not, go ahead and watch the video, and then you can come back to the specific parts that you have questions on. But I did want to give you guys that offer at the end, so make sure you stay tuned. Okay, the agent economic model. Again, what is it? The agent economic model is essentially one half of the equation. So the agent economic model is going to give us all the numbers that we need, the numbers in terms of our actual goal, which is what we're trying to reach, the numbers of sales, the numbers of nurtures, the numbers of closings, the number of appointments. So basically all the numbers that are going to help guide us towards our eventual goal. The agent economic model helps us to dissect and to accurately list each one of those numbers. So you will need a calculator for this. If you're planning on following along, if you're just going to watch a video and come back to it later, then you don't need a calculator, but I am going to walk you through an actual agent economic model form that I have filled out with numbers that I personally am using this year. So if you do want to follow along, go ahead and grab a calculator and we're going to get started. So the agent economic model, what is it? We've kind of covered that a little bit, but this is basically what we're going to be filling out. If you kind of think about it as a ladder, we're starting up here at the top. Our GCI goal is how much we want to make in commission. So it's our gross commission income goal. And this is going to be a number that you pick. For me personally, I'd picked 120,000 because I'm transitioning my business into a coaching business as opposed to just being an exclusive real estate business. So I have a goal separate from real estate that I'm also making money at. But for purposes of this, we're talking about our commission from real estate transactions. And whatever your number is, it may be 120,000, it may be 20,000, it may be 500,000 or a million. The process is exactly the same. You're just going to plug your individual and your unique numbers into this corresponding points. So the first number we have is our gross commission. For me, that's 120,000. The second thing we're looking at is our actual commission percentage. So based off your particular market, you may have a different percentage commission. So here where we're at in South Texas, it's primarily 3%. You do see some fluctuation in that, but as a whole, most of the commissions that I do are 3%. So I'm using that 3% commission as a marker. Again, if you're on the East or West Coast, then maybe that's different. I've heard of 2 or 2.5% is pretty common in some of those places, but that is going to vary place to place. So again, just whatever your average commission amongst your deals is, that's what's going to go in the second line there. And then what we're doing is our first calculation. We're taking the 120,000 and we're dividing it by 3%. So it's 120,000 divided by 0.03 since we're working with percentage. And that's going to give us a figure of $4 million. And what that is that's the closed volume goal. So that's the amount in a dollar figure of real estate that we need to actually close in order to reach our goal. And then the next thing we're looking at here is the average sales price. So in San Antonio, the average sales price is right around $250,000. Again, for you, that may be significantly higher, maybe the same, or it may be lower. This is going to be specific to your market. So whatever your average sales price is, go ahead and fill that in here. But for purposes of this, we're going $4 million divided by 250,000, and that gives me the number of units that I need to close. So assuming that some are going to be higher, some are going to be lower, I need to close 16 units at an average of $250,000 to equal that $4 million closed volume goal. So basically what this is telling me is that that's my goal for actually sold properties, whether that's listings, whether that's buyers, whatever percentage or combination of the two it is, it's just a total of 16 deals closed. The next one here is conversion rate. So contracts to closing. How many people do you put under contract that actually go to closing in a percentage form? Is it 100%? Maybe, but probably not. Most of the time, real estate has some unpredictability to it. So very rarely are you going to close 100% of the deals that you put under contract. For me, historically, it's between 90 and 95%. This year, it's been pretty solid. So most of the people that I put under contract have stayed under contract. I believe to date, all of them actually have, but again, 95% is the number that we're working with here. So again, another calculation, we're taking the 16 closed deals we need and dividing it by 95%. So 16 divided by 0.95, and that's going to give us a number of pending sales that we need. And again, pending sales are deals that you have under contract that have not closed yet. So again, what this is saying is that we're going to need slightly more in pending deals than we are in closed deals. And the assumption here is that there's going to be a little bit of breakage. And essentially breakage, if you haven't heard that term, is going to be deals that don't make it to the finish line, deals that end up not closing. And that for me is a very small percentage, but it is something that you need to account for. So I need 17 pendings, and that's essentially saying that the probability is that at least one of those 17 deals is going to fall through. And if that does happen, then I'm still on track to meet my 16 closed units, which will get me to my goal. So conversion rate, clients to contract, what percentage of people do you meet with that become clients? These are actual clients, so they committed to using you, they're committed to buying and or selling a home that you're able to get under contract. That's what this is talking about. So the conversion rate from clients that go under contract. And normally it would be a much higher percentage than this, but 70% is what I put right now. That's kind of what I'm running at just because of the fact that so many of my buyers have to put multiple offers in. We're averaging about 7 offers per buyer right now. So it's taking significantly longer to find them a house that they like. And then it's generally taking multiple offers once they do find those houses in order to actually get them under contract. So some of them get burnt out by the process. We do our best to avoid that, but inevitably, if it takes much longer than it used to, there is things that come up and things out of your control that you just can't account for. So that being said, if it's a listing, it's right at 100% because inevitably, if it goes off the market, I've got somebody right there ready to go. So I haven't lost any listings in terms of them not closing once I get them under contract. The other thing is the buyers. So I'm a little bit more listing heavy than buyer heavy. And that being said, my conversion rate is probably actually a little bit higher than that, probably 85 or 90%. But just for purposes of giving you a little bit of an idea of what you're looking at here, I went with 70%. And this is erring on the side of caution again. So 70% is my conversion rate. I'm saying 17 pendings divided by 70%. So 17 divided by zero point 0.7, that's going to give me my conversion rate, which is the number of signed rep agreements I need. And again, this is not specific to buyers. I know sometimes when you say rep agreement, people think buyer's rep agreement. It can be a buyer's rep agreement. It can also be a listing representation agreement. So either or, it's just signed rep agreements. And if you're more buyer heavy, then the odds are that you're going to have a higher number of agreements needed because it is taking significantly longer in most markets to get people off the books and get them into a home. So last thing here is conversion rate. Our last conversion rate, 90% appointments to signed clients. So when you go on an appointment with a new prospect, what is your conversion rate to actually getting them to sign a listing agreement or a buyer's rep agreement? So for me, it's about 90%. 9 out of every 10 people I sit down with will sign, and I will get that deal done. Every once in a while, you will come across people that want to work with you, but that are not the right fit, that you're not the right fit for them, or you can foresee that maybe they're going to be a difficult client and you're not at a place in your career where you really want to deal with that. So there is that variable too, but generally speaking, 90% conversion rate. If you're new, that may be significantly lower. Maybe you're only at 50%. That's okay. All we're trying to do is get an accurate read of our numbers here. And this will help us understand what we need to do, how hard we need to work to reach our goal. But it'll give us a realistic perspective. So it's very important that you guys are honest with this because you're not cheating anybody but yourself if you aren't. Okay, conversion rate. We're taking the number of signed rep agreements and dividing it by our conversion percentage. So 24 times 0.9 gives us a number of appointments that we need to go on. So that means that I need to go on 27 appointments to get those 24 signed rep agreements. As you can kind of see, it's a ladder. So we're working from appointments to rep agreements to pendings to closed. Close volume, and then eventually up to the top rung of the ladder, which is our goal of the actual money that we have made. So jumping down to the bottom here, these last two sections, the number of closings needed times 6. So for me, the closed units needed is 16, and that multiplied by 6 is 96. So I need 96 nurture clients. And these are people, they're not prospects, they're not leads. These are people that are beyond that. They're actually people that I put in my pipeline as people that I'm going to nurture because they've expressed an interest in purchasing a home or selling their home. In the future, they're just not quite there yet. So that is what would be considered a nurture. So it's not necessarily a cold prospect. It's somebody that you know doesn't have an agent, that hasn't necessarily maybe committed to you personally or committed 100% to sell, but they're in your pipeline as a potential. So if you have 96 of those, that's going to get you the 27 appointments that you need. And then the last thing here is the sold volume goal. So sold volume is not the same as closed volume. I know that sounds a little confusing, but sold volume is going to be stuff that you've written a contract on that has not yet closed. So this is where the breakage comes in again, because we're at 4.25 million. And how we got that number is the number of pendings needed. So I need 17 pendings times the average sales price. And our average sales price we're using is 250,000. So that gives me the figure of 4,250,000. And as you can see, that's slightly higher than the closed volume. And that's presuming that at least one of those deals at the price range of $250,000 is going to get under contract but not make it to the closing line. So that's accounting for that breakage, and that's accounting for hopefully it's not more, but at least one of those deals. And if that happens, then it allows me to still reach my goal of 120,000 GCI. So we're going to take the next step here. This is the agent economic model. This is the in-depth look at, like I said, the numbers. So next we're going to go into the 135. And the 135 is where we set more of our action steps. And it's going to be the goal setting specific to what actions we're going to take. And it's going to help us clarify so that every single day and every single week we have specific actions that we can take that move us towards our goal of making that $120,000. So one caveat on this, if you're not familiar with this system and maybe you don't have a GCI, a gross commission that you're considering or that you're shooting for, it is important that you have a number. So maybe pick a realistic number for you, probably slightly higher than you think you can achieve, because the odds are that if you follow the system, you'll be able to achieve much more than you thought possible. So what we're looking at here is the 135, and essentially you can use this for any number of different goals. But we're going to make our main business objective to make $120,000 in GCI. So you could make this a personal goal just as a standalone goal sheet. You could make this a personal goal, a separate business goal, a financial goal, whatever you want it to be. We're using this specifically for developing action steps that will help us reach our goal of making $120,000. So that's our one of the 135. Our three is going to be our categories. So what categories are we putting our lead generation into? For me, the three that I typically use, my number one is sphere of influence. That's where by far dominates the vast majority of my time, resources, and where I see the most return. Secondarily and third, I also do social media. So that's going to be things like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even maybe YouTube in this case. And then farming, and that's just where I'm targeting a specific neighborhood or a specific area of town, and I'm trying to go hyper local on that and increase my influence, my name recognition in that specific area, with the goal of being the go-to person when somebody, in some cases, hears of somebody wanting to move to the neighborhood, they think of you, or more appropriately or more likely, when people consider selling, they're the person that you call because you've been on their radar this whole time. So once you have those, then you're going to write down 5 action steps or 5 action items that you can do for each one of these goals. So for sphere of influence, my 5 action items that I do on any given week are going to be calls. So calling my people, just having a voice-to-voice conversation with them, writing handwritten notes, Popeyes, which is just stopping by their work or their home and offering, just dropping off like a little token, some kind of a little gift. Client events. So I have kind of staple client events. One of those is the Thanksgiving pie pop by. It's a reverse pop by. So I have it at my house every year, and I have all my clients that are interested come by and I give them a pie of their choice. And that's the day before Thanksgiving or the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. And that is just something that they can take with them to their house if they're having people over, or to wherever they're spending Thanksgiving. And it's just a way for me to say thank you for being a great client. And it also reinforces and deepens that relationship. And then monthly mailer. So every month I have a mailer that goes out, and that's not always real estate specific, but it is another way to add value and another way for me to stay in front of them in a little bit more of a passive form, because it's just going through the mail and it's not something that I'm actively necessarily getting in their face or having a conversation with them about. So that is the 135. Again, you want to come up with your own things. I would keep the GCI goal, whatever your number is, but try to keep it a GCI goal. So whatever you're looking to achieve, write that number there. And then find the 3 things that have worked for you. It may not be any of these, and that's okay. You want it to be personalized to what you're doing. And then once you have your 3 categories there, then you want to go through and create specific action steps that you're going to take or can take that will move you closer to that goal. And that's going to come into play when we actually start filling the 411 in, because that is going to give us action steps that we can take on a weekly basis to make sure that we're always working towards our goal. And then that combined with the numbers will show us the results. So putting these 2 things together, you'll see how it all kind of comes together in a second here. But that is very important that you have action items. So there's always something you can do. You never find yourself sitting there wondering, what do I do now? That's the worst possible thing for business. So you want to always have an action item that you can draw on and take action with. So putting it all together, we're going to start filling in the 411. I've got mine filled in with the corresponding information, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. and show you exactly how to plug in the numbers that we ran as well as the action items that we did. So here is the 411. You saw this at the beginning of the video. It looks exactly the same, but what you are seeing now is kind of the side-by-side comparison. What we have here is the age and economic model that gave us all of our numbers. And what we're doing is we're not worrying about anything in blue. All we're looking for is the numbers in orange. And as you can see over here, I went ahead and highlighted or changed the color of all the numbers to orange as well. So everything in orange here is a number that was pulled from the age and economic model over here. And starting at the very top, this is our yearly section. This is our monthly section. And then this is our weekly section. So as you can see, there's week 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's not necessarily date specific, so don't worry about this. If you're watching the video in the middle of the month, just jump in week 2 or week 3 or week 4, wherever you're at. You don't have to wait till the next month to start. You want to begin tracking where you're at, and that can be at any point in here. You just want to fill it in with the corresponding week. And then again, so starting out, we have our GCI. This is our goal. So we're working in this column here. So our goal is 120,000 GCI. And again, that number is our first orange slot here. Our second one, our closed volume goal. How much are we actually looking to close in a dollar amount? And in this case, that's $4 million. Number of closed units needed. We're going to come to that in a second, but I want to jump down to the bottom here because that's going to be our last number in the goal section here. And that's at 4.25 million. The very, very bottom number in orange, that's going to be our 4.25 million, and that's our sold volume. And again, sold volume is something that you have written a contract on, it's been accepted, or you have a listing and you've accepted a contract on it, but it hasn't actually closed yet. So that's a discrepancy between sold volume and closed volume. And then what we're doing here is this is going to be more of our activity section. So this is all about the numbers, and these are the number of activities or results, if you will, that we're going to want to see for the entire year. And the first one we have is nurtures and referrals. So that's that last, and we're starting at the bottom and working our way up. So 96 nurtures needed. Again, that number goes there. So again, working our way down, we need 96 nurtures, 27 appointments. And again, that's that bottom number here. So our bottom two numbers, 96, 27, jumping up. The number of signed rep agreements, again, buyer and or listing reps. If you get both sides, I would absolutely count both sides. So if you get somebody that's looking to buy and sell or sell and buy, then I would count both sides and give yourself credit for 2 there. But again, that's a number of signed rep agreements. Pendings and closings. Again, that's 17 pendings needed and 16 closings needed. So that's where we get all those numbers. And again, we're just transferring the orange section from here to here and from here to here. So once we have that, that's set for the year. Those numbers shouldn't change. And what we have down here is our monthly section. So all we're simply doing is taking these numbers and dividing them by 12 to give us our monthly goal. And as you can see, I have plugged those in. So dividing our GCI by 12, we get 10,000. Dividing our closed volume by 12, we get 333,000. And our sold volume, 354,166. And then these numbers aren't going to change from month to month or year to year. So once these are set, you can leave them. Same thing with your personal activity list and your personal activity list here. Those are set and they shouldn't change. You may have to tweak them a little bit if you find that you're either way ahead or way behind on your goals, but generally speaking, you don't want to change them once they're set. So anything in orange is going to be set, and those are going to be numbers that are not going to change once you write them in. The rest of these are our actual numbers. So these are green because green is money. And if we've closed the house, hopefully we've gotten paid on it. So again, that's going to be our sold volume, our closed volume, and our GCI. And that's going to be the actual numbers for the year up to this point. If you're just starting out and you want it to run consecutively for 12 months, then all these numbers are going to be 0. But I'm basing this off the fact from January 1st till now. So as you can see, I've done 67,500 in GCI, closed 2.25 million, And my sold volume is actually the same because I haven't had anything that's gone under contract fall out yet. So my closed and my sold are the same number in this case. And then jumping over here is going to be our gap. So basically, we have our goal, we have our actual, and then how far from achieving our goal are we? That's going to tell us what we need to do in the remainder of the year in order to hit our goal. And as you can see, we're not quite halfway through the year at the time of this video, so we're about 5 months into the year, and I'm over halfway to my goal, so I'm well on track to competing that and probably achieving more. But again, subtracting these two gives me a GCI remaining of 52,500 for the rest of the year. And similarly, all we're doing with these numbers is what's our actual closings, what's our actual GCI, and what's our actual sold volume for that given month. So we're in May right now. I've sold $560,000 of real estate, but I've only closed 310,000. So that other 250,000 that's out there is probably not going to close until next month. So I'm counting it as my sold volume for May, but I can't count it as my closed volume until probably June when it actually closes. And again, same numbers. We're subtracting our sold volume from our actual, our goal from our actual, our goal from our actual, our goal from our actual, and whatever the difference is here. And then finally, going down to our weekly goal, this is where we're going to kind of take a step back, and this is going to be how we plan out our week. So in any given week, you have the three activities that you're going to be focusing on, or the three categories that you're going to be focusing on. And these are basically the number of nurtures, the number of appointments, the number of pendings, rep agreements, closings, etc., that you need any given week. Obviously, you can't have half of a closing or half of a pending or half of an appointment. That doesn't work. So just breaking down the numbers strictly, that's what it looks like. But be realistic with the fact that you're probably looking at, one appointment every couple weeks or four nurtures every couple weeks, something like that. So it doesn't have to be structured exactly. It's more of a guide at this point, and you want to make sure that you have the activities that you listed on the 135 planned throughout your week, so that you're seeing the return, in this case, the numbers, in terms of appointments, referrals, rep agreements, all those things, because doing the activity is ultimately what's going to get us the results. And don't be discouraged if you're not getting the results right away, because with real estate, as you know, it takes an average of 3+ months from the time you do the business till it actually shows up in your bank account. So you may work for a month, 6 weeks without getting any results, and then all of a sudden it hits at once. That's just kind of how it goes. So stay encouraged, and that's the point of this, is it's a big picture. And we're taking this big, lofty goal and kind of chunking it down into more bite-sized pieces so that we understand exactly what we need to do on a weekly, and we can track it on a monthly basis. And then jumping over to the 135, again, these parts in black here, this is going to be the three categories that we selected, whatever it is for you that you're looking at for generating leads. This is specific to lead generation. And again, this is going to be your actual activity in this column all the way down. And this is going to be your goal. So if it's sphere of influence, it could be stuff like how many calls are you going to make? How many notes are you going to write? How many pop-bys are you going to do? For your social media, maybe it's posts. Whatever the quantitative measurement is that you're using, that's what you're going to put here. And you're not going to be able to fill all that in, but you can write a number in there and you'll know exactly what it means. And again, I would try to map that out for the whole year so you can track it monthly and then plan out weekly exactly what you're doing. And that's where it's very helpful to have these 5 things, because you don't have to sit there and think about this at that point. You say, okay, my sphere of influence, Monday I'm doing da, da, da. Tuesday I'm doing social media. Wednesday I'm doing farming. Thursday, Friday I'm doing one of the two or maybe more farming, whatever it is for your week. It helps you plan out the exact activities that you need to get done, and helps make sure that you're staying productive and staying on top of the tasks that you need to accomplish in order to reach the numbers and eventually the goal that you're looking to reach. So that's a pretty in-depth view of the 411, the 135, and the agent economic model. And as promised, I have an offer for you guys. So if you're an active agent and you're currently not with EXP, I've been with Keller Williams, I've been with Remax, I've been with Realty Executives, I've been with some of the top firms out there. And I can say hands down that, especially in the time we're living in right now, EXP is by far the leading brokerage and company that I have ever been with. So some of the things that I really love is they're cloud based, so I can work from anywhere. I'm not tied down to a physical office. I do have a physical office, obviously, but I'm not tied down to that because everything they do is based in the cloud, so I can do my work from anywhere. But second to that, there's also stock options. So you do have a publicly traded company that you can purchase stock options in at a discount. The splits are phenomenal, 80-20 splits. And once you cap, you're 100%. So there is a lot of going on. And the value add that I would offer you guys is that if you come over to EXP under me, then I would be willing to help you out and coach you along the way. So that means we're going to sit down and go through exactly what I went through on this video specific to you. We're going to set all your goals. I'm going to have weekly accountability calls or texts with you just to make sure you're staying on track. And if anything comes up, I'm going to be your point of contact here, and I'm going to be able to help you navigate it. So that's my offer to you guys. If you're interested, my contact information is at the end video here. You can Google me, of course. I'm very Googleable. And anyway, hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're having a lot of success out there. Hopefully, if you have never heard of this, hopefully that makes sense. If you have heard of this, hopefully that gives you a little more clarity on exactly what to do. But I appreciate your time. Again, subscribe, like, and come back next Friday for more content.